Hello everybody, thank you for joining me again. It's me, Stephen Englander, bringing you all the latest business news and exciting developments in the small business world. So what's been happening with us in the studio? It's really exciting. As you can see, I've been given a new microphone. Really cool. And we've got loads of new camera equipment coming in, and we've got all sorts of gadgets to make the show better. So we're really pulling the boat out there. I mean, I don't know whether you know, but we operate from a studio at our offices, and we make all sorts of productions here. But unfortunately, a couple of months ago, we got broken into and the cameras got stolen, and the insurance didn't cover it. And to add insult to injury, we couldn't even claim the VAT back on the cameras that we bought because, being an idiot, I received the invoice electronically, and I didn't file it, and I lost it, and that's me as an accountant, so HMRC wouldn't pay me the VAT back. So it's not been good, but now we've got all new stuff, and it's really exciting what we're going to be able to do with it. I don't know what we're going to be able to do with it, but apparently we can do lots and lots of things with it. The other thing we're developing, we're going to do a monthly additional show because we've been asked for it, and one of our semi-senior accountants who's been with the firm for several years now has come up with a great idea, and it seems something that clients like the idea of as well, where we're going to sit around a table, hopefully COVID will allow us to do that, and we're going to discuss certain aspects of tax and VAT and other things, grants and furlough and payroll, and how this applies to people. So you get to see a bunch of accountants talking about this thing, and that should be quite interesting for you people that are interested in hearing how accountants talk. I had a great interview this week. I've had a few nice interviews this week, but I've been angling for a gentleman with John Holland. John is going to work with us, and we'll be offering a service to clients out there who think they might have potential for developing their company and floating it on the stock market. So how's that? So you don't need to be a multi-millionaire. You don't need to have a massive company. We'll find a way to do it. We'll help shape the company to do that. But you'll be able to watch the video hopefully next week, and then we can have a chat about that. Now, what's been going on in the news this week? Well, in general, we've got Black Friday. I mean, Black Friday's it's a great idea or it's a con. It's either people being ripped off or a great strategy depending on where you are. There's not a lot I can say about Black Friday. Personally, I think it's a bit ridiculous that pretend lower prices are being promoted when you can get this type of stuff all the time like that anyway. But if you do want to get involved in Black Friday type deals, I know a guy who can find you very, very discounted stock, sometimes from factories in China and all over. But he'll be joining one of our shows, and you can ask him all sorts of questions about that. Incidentally, Black Friday originated, I think it was sometime in the late 1800s, when the price of gold just plummeted like crazy, and they called it Black Friday. So it's got other meanings to it, but that was one of the that's where the actual name originated from. So I thought I'd like that. The one thing I don't like about Black Friday is because it takes the fun out of shopping, and everyone rushes in. So most retailers can't get a look in because everyone spent the money just before Christmas is coming up, and they've got all these discounted sales, and it's all the big stores that are getting into it, and it's up to you how you get involved in it. Personally, it's now part of our infrastructure, so you can't beat them. So join them and make sure you buy the right gear. Just don't give stock away. Better not to sell it at discounted rates than give it away, because you'll never make any money giving stock away. So just another quick note before we get into the exciting conversation that I've got lined up for you today. Lockdown, second lockdown and third tier lockdown. So just in case you don't know, it's business as usual if you can open. It's on the same guidelines as now. I'd suggest you try and look through your online delivery and all the things we always talk about. Somebody asked me the other day, because they had a pub, and it's like, I'm in the entertainment industry, I'm out of business, and it's not easy, and I do feel for everybody out there struggling. I really do. I mean, we do have our mentor groups that people can join for ideas, but there's a company that were a pub, and they've set up an online pub group, and now they've got people joining. I think we'll be broadcasting them later, and they've reached a big audience, but they don't actually have a pub anymore, and they're looking to promote that side of the business. Other pubs are joining the food business and sending stuff out that way. There's one gentleman I know that he actually turned the business, the pub, he put some washing machines in, and people go and do the laundry there now and have a sit down. I'm not sure how that's worked around COVID. I think he's got screens up everywhere. But then we've got we've got the idea of entertainment. I mean, there's a guy I know, and he delivered a Deliveroo the other week, and he's actually a comedian. And he's, but a lot of comedians, a lot of entertainers are available now for online screening. So you can have your pub, your venue with that. So I think I'm just saying these ideas, and if you want to talk anything through, contact me, or better still, join the mentoring groups. And all you have to do is go into look me up under Facebook and just join the group. It's great. Or contact me direct. There's just one thing that amused me. And it shouldn't amuse me. It's quite innovative, but there's a guy in one of our groups, and he was saying that he is a dog trainer, but he's now training the dogs online. I must contact him, see how he does that, because we've got 3 little dogs, and little Pomeranian things, and they really need training. Just noisy. Anyway, let me just move on, because this is all very depressing about COVID. I don't want to depress anybody. Keep your chin up. If you've got a couple like me, it's more of an effort, but keep your chin up. And sometimes it's hard enough to get out of bed without motivating yourself to actually do anything in business. So I just want to talk about motivation. So but before I do, I've got a little bit of a confession that I've been holding in for 40 years now, and I thought I'd get it off my chest. And many years ago, I had a shop, a store, and I was in partnership with my sister. Hi, Sharon. And one day, this little old lady came in, and she bought some bread and some milk and a few bits. And in those days, remember that we had pound notes, and it came to just 99 pence. And she gave me the pound note. It was all scrumpled up, and I gave her the change. And as she's going out the shop, I unravelled it, and I noticed that there was actually £2 there, not £1. Anyway, I put it in the till, and I didn't say anything. And you know what? 40 years later, I still feel guilty and ask myself, should I have split that with my sister? Sorry, that was actually the wrong confession. And the other confession is that I was trained as an accountant, a bookkeeper. And what accountants do is you follow patterns. You sort of like 1, 2, 3. You need things in columns. You need things in order. It's a very mechanical process. And what we're also always looking for is, by finding patterns, we're looking to improve performance. Now, I know a friend of mine is an accountant. He says he did that very quickly with a little tablet. But I'm looking for a different type of motivation. And it occurred to me, I was actually had a different talk planned tonight, but I was talking to Hayden on the way in. Hayden's our camera guy. He makes all this happen. You might know him from Trigger Warning, which is showing at 10 o'clock tonight. And I think he's got some interesting guests, so I thought I'd plug him there. But there was a story. There was a test by some social scientists, because scientists always think they understand business. And I don't know if they get it right, I don't know if they get it wrong, but I don't know why this story popped into my head, but it's about a candle, and it's called Dunker's candle problem, I think. Don't something like that. And what happened was, there was a test, and they had the control group, and they had the people that were taking part in the experiment. And what they did was, on the table, they had a little tray, and in the tray there was some tacks, and then they had a candle, and they had some matches. And the challenge was, put the candle to the wall, hold it into the wall, and then light it, and you had to put it on the wall in such a way that the wax didn't drip onto the floor. 2 groups, and it was difficult. People tended not to get it. They were trying all sorts of things, maybe put the candle at different angles. One guy apparently tried to use blue tack. Don't know where he got it from, but that's what he tried to do. And struggled with it. But then what they did was they put the tacks out of the box. So you had the tack box, the tacks, and the candle and the matches. And people got that because they tacked the box, the tray, to the wall, put the candle on the tray, lit it, and of course the wax melted off onto the tray. But we couldn't see that. And then what they did was they said, well, here's another experiment. And they put the tray, they put one team, and they said, right, go and do it. And the other team said, go and do it, but we're going to incentivize you. So the faster you do it, the more money you'll get as a reward. So you think, great, which team did better? Well, the team that did better were the people that were not incentivized. But when they did the same experiment with people where the box had been laid out and it was separate from the tax, and it was a mechanical idea, the incentivization worked. So it's like, what? And what they came up to, and the conclusion, and when I tell you, you'll see it, is that one was mechanical, which was like, it was obvious, it was a process, it would tick, tick, next. A bit like accounting. Comes in, invoice comes in, you process it. But then, sorry, that's not accounting, that's bookkeeping. But then you've got the other people who, why did they not do as well incentivized? And it's because it was a creative process. So the brain went from creativity to chasing the money, wanted the reward. So it's sort of knowing that there was a reward made them not panic, but just clouded their mind with all they could see was the reward. So the creativity was a lot less. Now, what do we glean from this? Well, we glean that to motivate anybody, perhaps giving them people that work in a mechanical production line, maybe years past where that's what we did. Maybe we can say, like a bookkeeper, if it's mindless, which it's not nowadays because of all the tech that goes with it. So I'm actually using the wrong examples, but you get what I mean. You've got a bookkeeper, you've got somebody that is on a production line, and they can be incentivized because it's a next. But a creative process, which so many of us do, accountants, we're always going to be thinking, lawyers, graphic designers, people making something, artists, everybody. How do you motivate them? Because as we've seen, the creative process is destroyed by incentivizing. Well, the first thing, people should be earning a good, a money that is commensurate with the sort of work they do and the lifestyle that they need. That's why they're in that profession. But so how do we motivate people in the 21st century? Well, I think you've got to remember, not one trick fits all, but the first thing that people want is autonomy. So if you think about what autonomy is control. It's control of your own project. So you turn around to somebody and say like the accountants, at one point I used to have a production line. I just used to have people come in, right, what jobs are on the shelf, right, first come, first serve, and the accountant does that one. But now it's more these are the jobs, you are in control of this job. So my dad's paperwork's come in, Yulia, semi-senior, really good, takes control on that job. She does it how she wants, when she wants, and in the way she wants. So she's controlling the job. She is taking ownership of that job. She's not being told by me how to do it. At the end of the day, she's an accountant. She should know how to do it. And this is a case of graphic designers, artists, anybody. You should know your job. So why not do it from start to finish? Why not decide how you're going to do that job? And that way, you deal with things as they need dealing with, and you plan it yourself. You're not somebody else telling you what to do. So if it's a really good job, it's you. If it's a bad job, well, you've not really taken ownership of that job, have you? And that's what we want to see. We want to see ownership of these jobs. And it gives people more pride in their work, and I've seen it happen. The only thing we do insist is take a leaf out of FedEx. We want delivery the next day. So there's always got to be a time given, but they can choose what they want to do. So I'm a big fan of autonomy, and it's something we can talk about and work with people. If you've got any questions on that, how you can apply it to your workplace, it's all very good me giving you all these overviews, but this is where our coaching groups come in, because we can help you a bit more in establishing this and what it means to your business. The other part of this, which is another talk in its own right, is mastery. So mastery is the point where it's not quite autonomy, but it's where you master the job, where you are in even more control, not just of the job, but everything. The tools, you know how to do it, the insight. It's a lot of training, it's a lot of knowing your job. It's basically knowing the insights of your job, so you're a master of that job, and it doesn't half make you feel better. And it's something that is subtle, but it increases yourself as a business owner and employees, because not only can they do the job and dictate how it's done, but they are the expert in that particular job and that field. And it's got far more reaching effects because they're involved in the job. They're involved in doing all of that. And I think that is incredibly important. But the third one, now I do have some talks on this, and again, it's something that please take to heart. It's purpose. Now, purpose is something that is bigger than you. It's something you buy into. I mean, let me give you an example of this. I've given talks on this before, but in fact, I've given one. I can't find the link to it, but we're going to work on that and get it out there for you. But here's an idea with purpose. I don't know if any of you got teenage kids, but how do you get a teenager to clean their bedroom? How do you get them to even get out of bed in the morning? But then how do you get 6 people to even organise for a dinner date? And what about 600 people? How do you get them to a party or an event? But it's murder. People, noise, and no one turns up, and they lose this and lose that. So can you imagine 6,000 people, 60,000 people, 6 million people, and yet half the world has been conquered by working with people that you've never met, that don't know anything, that don't know each other, but hundreds of millions of people over time have all been pulled together to do stuff. And how have they done that? Well, it's usually in the name of God, in the name of the King. They have a common purpose. Now, I'm not saying you can go out and become the next Messiah. I mean, maybe, who knows? I'll second you. But what you can do is you can give purpose. So you see, every time you've got some purpose in what you do, that isn't just about you, whether you believe in the product. I mean, there was somebody that we worked with a while ago, and they had problems with people getting staff, getting them to turn up at work. And one of the things we talked about was what they did, and they worked in schools, and there was safety protection and stuff like that. And we decided that all these employees who were unreliable, shall we say, unusual for employees, but nevertheless, and what they needed was to understand that what they're doing isn't repairing safety equipment, but they're protecting children. And once they got behind that as a purpose, not as a job, it did make a difference. It took a little while for it to sink in, but it is important to have purpose in everything you do. And having that purpose, I know it's a bit Americanism, it's a bit airy-fairy, but when you've got purpose, you get up in the morning, you go to work. COVID doesn't matter. You find a way. It's amazing. There was a guy, I can see a guy in the studio nodding, because we were down in Kent many years ago, and we met this guy who was, at that time, he was in his 80s, and he was he was in the 70s a designer on Concorde, and he used to make these models of Bugattis, and he used to live in this garage. I've always never forgot it. I mentioned it in another talk, and it's so old and horrible garage, and he even had a tree growing out the floor somewhere. But the point is, his attitude is that he was going to get up for every day that he was alive, and he was going to live till he was 120, because God wanted these Bugattis on the planet. He had a bigger purpose, and I think it's very, very important to have that purpose. So, but again, we'll talk about you. We'll talk about that at a future time. So I hope that's of interest to you, because it is a subject close to my heart. I've got some questions, so I've finished my my little rant there, and I've got some questions, and so I'm just going to read them through because they've just come in. So we've got Sean Desmond. Sean's from one of our Facebook groups, and he's saying, where's the best place to find business tutoring and training? Hello. I mean, that's not a put on. He did ask that. Hello, Sean. Hi, I'm here. Come. No, there are lots and lots of courses. It's a very difficult thing to train in business because there's lots of different aspects. I think before you decide what it is you want to learn, is have a look at your business and what is you doing, what markets you're trying to reach, and that's where a consultation comes in. At the end of the day, it's great. You could do with a bit of a knowledge of accounting and bookkeeping and admin, and if you don't have that, give me a ring. The other thing you probably need to learn about is how to sell, how to promote your products. I don't know what products you've got, but I don't think learning from a DVD is the best thing to do. I think the idea is some sort of coach, someone to guide you a little bit, because you find that intuitively you know what to do if your focus is right. So if you've got the autonomy and the accountability that comes from autonomy, because that makes you accountable, remember, and you've got mastery, so you really know your product, you know what you're doing, you know all about it all, and you've got purpose, you don't need a DVD. But there's loads. I mean, just go on YouTube, just type in, Anthony Robbins, great, but they're not just business people. Zig Ziglar, great. Just go online and ask for that. And so now I've got Callum from East Manchester says, I can't get on top of my jobs and keep missing deadlines while not making any money from all my hard work. Where am I going wrong? Oh, that's a big one. Are you planning your jobs properly? Are you just turning up, quoting for it'll take a day, but it's really a week? Don't be scared in telling people that it's going to take 10 days just because they want it done in 2. If the job is going to take 10 days, then price for 10 days. Don't be silly. Don't try and be a client pleaser. The only way you should be a client pleaser is by doing the job right and at the price you agreed. So that could be something. Are you planning the jobs properly? And it could be, is your pricing right? Have you got your pricing right to cover the fact that it takes 10 days? Are you under pressure because you're booking too many jobs in? I think the problem with these open-ended questions, it could be so many things, and really what we could do with is sit down and have a look at what the records show of how you're actually trading. But do as a starting point, do consider how long it takes you to do jobs. So here we are. Paul from Salford. I've started a website design business, but I'm not confident enough to charge what I'm worth. What can I do to start valuing my work? Well, that's another open-ended question, Paul. So a price, you've got several ways of looking at price, and you've got to look at market value. You've got to look at what people tend to charge. But that can be a bit vague because lots of people charge different things, especially in the service type business. You've got to consider, is this a problem that people won't pay, or that you're not confident in your own pricing or your own services? And you've got to say to yourself, sometimes I've got a price. We have a pretty much standard package type price. And when people say, which isn't as often as you think, they challenge me on the price. I'm pretty confident that the fees that we charge, and this isn't a plug, this wasn't as a design question, the prices we charge are quite fair. But you see, with any job, there is a minimum cost. I was talking to somebody before, one of my accountants, and we were talking about this type of thing because the question was asked before. The thing is, if you go out and you like nachos, and you go and buy a plate of nachos, the typical cost of the nachos might be £4.50. Would you pay £1 for them? Because I wouldn't. Because it's like, why is it so much cheaper? Where they're cutting the corners. So if you've got a fair pricing, and if you need help in pricing, we can always have a chat about that. But if you are doing the job right, then it's got minimum costs. So someone says to me, you're charging £300 more than this other guy's charging. Well, I know that I've got a cost to do that, I've got a cost to do that, I've got a cost to do that. So if someone can undercut us, it makes you wonder what they're not doing to achieve that price. Now, that's not a license to go and just charge what they want and justify it because, oh, that's what it costs. But you can ask yourself these questions. Have confidence in yourself. Don't rip people off. A fair price for a fair job, and be consistent. It's not really about what the competition do, because you do something different. And then if you prove to be reliable and you prove to do things right and consistently, then you will get a little bit of a premium because people trust you, and trust is what it's all about. So quite often people saying, I don't like your price, is really saying, I don't really have that confidence in you. So maybe we can look at that a little bit more, and that's where we go with that. So now we've got Ramesh from Highgate. So he's put, do you think it's a good idea to invest in cryptocurrency? I've noticed there's been a big increase in Bitcoin value. Ramesh, how the hell do I know? I'm an accountant, not an investor. But what I will say is that trying to beat the market, whether you're dealing in shares or whether you're dealing in cryptocurrency, is not a clever thing to do unless you've got some insider trading. But you can go to prison for that. But at the end of the day, the way investments work is that they're designed to give you a return, hopefully above inflation, usually 6-8% per annum over time. And what that means is that the best way to use investments is to look for a long term. So you take a spread. So you'd say, well, I'm going to buy into this trust or into this fund, and it is 102 different companies in this, in different sectors, in different industries, even in different countries. And over time, it balances out. Obviously, you stockbroker, you've got those fees, so you'll never do as well if you just buy one of these type of funds. I'm not an investment guy. I don't know much about it, but I do know that. Trying to beat the market, it's luck. So if you feel that the cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, is on the rise, which it possibly is at the moment, and it's not surprising because there's a lot of cash out there that needs to be put somewhere. But I would imagine, my opinion is that it will drop. But at the moment, if you see it's going up and you want to take that chance, then you go ahead and do that. So I think that's all my questions. No more, So that about wraps it up. And I just want to say I wish everybody all the best. And we are coming up to troubling times, but we will get through. Remember that the motivation is take ownership of what you do, take pride in it, take autonomy, give staff autonomy, make sure the job means something to you. And if you can develop a purpose, which is very hard, can sometimes take years, but generally a purpose comes from providing something of value to people and then getting behind it because people say thank you very much. So thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Good night.